Hey folks, Chris McLean back again with yet another episode of the show. And today I am chatting to Rajat from Shoot Order. They're a digital marketing agency based out of India, and they are a team of 55 creative digital marketing minds working for small to mid-level enterprises. They support the full end-to-end digital marketing spectrum, including management of owned, paid, and earned media. 55 people, Rajat. That sounds like a headache, but that sounds like an incredible business you've built. That's a considerably large team.
Right, Chris. We did not start with a huge number as 55
Yep.
was.
Yep.
We started with a couple of people, and
Mm,
over the years, we had grown to a level that we have a good team now. COVID did impact that strength a bit, but
mm.
however, after a year of um, getting to know how to deal with COVID, we have gone back to the same strength again.
Yeah, amazing. So, how long ago did you start out?
We started in 2013,
Okay. Yep.
and primarily it was more of an application development company. We started
Right.
as an application development, but soon we realized that application is just the half job done. We were
Mm,
asked to do the marketing of those web applications and mobile applications.
right.
However, we were doing it as a part of our job, but we never
Mm,
focused on digital marketing as such. But then
right.
later we realized that not just building the app but also promoting them, because if you
Mm,
have the right sense of marketing, the application development gets better in terms
yeah.
of
Right.
optimizing those web applications for search engine optimizations and
Yeah.
things which are more related to digital marketing. So we
Mm,
started getting
mm,
into that, and we created some of the web applications which were using programmatic SEO, gained a lot of traffic, and yeah, that's how it all started.
yeah. Right.
And 2014, we were full-fledged into digital marketing. We
Yeah. Right.
were our focus, our face was the company at that time was completely into digital marketing, and since then we are primarily a digital marketing company over a web application development company.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we
So you really only spent 12 months as a sort of an app company, and then you pivoted into the full spectrum digital.
12 months, yeah. The first
Yeah.
12 months was a lot of struggle because
Mm,
we were new into the market. We didn't know how to get to the bigger clients. We were only getting startups who were also not
mm,
willing to pay for the kind of efforts that we were putting. However, it took us a good 12 months to 15 months for us to understand how the market works. And
yeah.
when I started immediately after my college,
Right.
immediately after
Yep.
my engineering.
Yep.
So I didn't know how the market works,
Mm.
but then it came pretty well. I um I got few people who were pretty good at their job, and we all chipped in to get that success. And in a good context, I don't remember my 2015 to 2017 to be very frank. I was so busy. We were all doing whatever we could do to get the better success for our clients. So we don't even remember what happened during those days. And
Yeah.
then soon after 2018, we see a great big team of about 40-45 people
Right.
sitting from a single office. And when we look back, we kind of talk about it, the initial struggle days, because hiring was a problem. We were not big in the beginning. We only had
Mm.
about 2 employees, and we wanted to show them big because nobody wants to join a startup which is only starting with 2 employees.
Yeah.
So we faked a bit in the beginning, but it all paid off. We people laugh about it now, and
Mm.
yeah, that's how it started.
Yeah, well, yeah, that so not surprised that you talk about those few years as a blur that you don't remember. I think that's pretty standard for startups, but particular agencies and agency founders and owners in those early years, when you're trying to pull all the stuff together, and you've got the stresses of growth and trying to build team and get clients and uh, put enough money in the bank to survive the next month and the next quarter and get everything done. It can sort of fly by in a flash, but those can also, when you look back, those are sort of the some of the times that you enjoy the most. I found You sort of look back at those crazy days. Every day is kind of you're just trying to figure stuff out and go, what are we doing today? They can be fun, but fun and furious. But it's also nice to get to that point where you have that, like you have now, that stability, and you've got that core team, and then you can look at, right, how do we scale and grow and shift audiences and that sort of thing. Speaking of audiences, do you target a particular niche, or is it just sort of all SME, sort of small mid-tier businesses? Is it local? Is it e-com? Is it SaaS? Is there anyone in particular, or is it kind of any type of business?
So we did not have any specific audience or niche that we were targeting at that time, because back in 2014s and 15s, also India was pretty new to digital marketing. We all know what is digital marketing, but the industry was not very well organized. So we started catering to almost every industry, to every client, whether they're looking for mobile app installation campaigns or for lead generation, or an e-commerce company looking for D2C selling. So we were almost doing everything. But then over the years, we realized that we are doing pretty well in healthcare sector. Healthcare sector who are looking for lead generation. I'm talking about hospitals. I'm talking about healthcare companies who are D2C brands selling to the consumers, the health supplements, and so on. So soon we realized that about a good 50 to 60% of our business is only coming from the healthcare sector. So that became our major industry. We started pitching more and more clients in different geographies for showing the case studies of the previously success that we had with different clients, and that gave us even more confidence, and that gave us a better way for us to build our clientele. So yeah, healthcare specifically can be considered as one of the vertical where we had a good success, and we started focusing much more than the other verticals that we had in the industry.
Yeah, I think it's as much as niching is a thing that gets talked about a lot and maybe over talked about. I think there's points in the business where niching down and focusing on something that you've done well can be a great way to grow and scale, because, like you're saying, you get some expertise, you know how to do that thing. So every new customer that comes in, you already know how to deliver, how to service the conversations, the structure, the processes, all that stuff's kind of there, rather than new client comes in, okay, now we've got to work out a new process. New one comes in, okay, we've got to work out a new process, which is what that first few years was like, right? It was like, get something in, work out how to do it, get something in, work out how to do it.
Exactly.
But finding that thing where you can get that repeat business, and at least you've got a pretty good idea how to attract that audience and then how to deliver. I think for me, that's the benefit of niche, and it just simplifies the marketing, the sales, and the delivery processes. So at least having one niche that you focus on, and it sounds like you've kind of got healthcare, and then you also ply your trade against any other business. But at least you've got that stable that you can kind of come back to and know, we can always go deeper in healthcare. We can always get that kind of client because we've got the case study expertise, etc. So I think it's definitely a good approach that tends to prove successful for a lot of agencies. So yeah, that's interesting. You can sort of, I like how you're set up, that you have a niche, but you're also kind of full service. You're not just healthcare. You kind of got that one big piece in healthcare, and then you can kind of, I guess, let your creativity out against other industries and bring in interesting work for you guys to work on too.
Right, definitely. Yeah. So yeah, that's how it works, and I think a lot of agencies are following the similar model. They start, they focus on a niche. However, they also experiment in different verticals on different kind of digital marketing that they want to do. So yes, and on top of it, creativity is anyway any day ask of the market. Without creative campaigns, without creative strategies, it's very hard to survive in the market. And the kind of freelance network that got built over the years, it keeps us always on our toes, because these freelancers are doing hack every now and then, and you need to compete with them, because the bigger brands, when they come to you and say that a freelancer who he's paying like a small amount can do such a big impact to his business. How come an agency like yours, cannot think about it? So we need to be very much up to our toes to deliver those kind of strategies to the clients. So creative, innovative ways of doing the campaign management and the digital strategies is definitely very important.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. It's like you could like India, Philippines, certain countries have massive communities where a lot of the world goes to hire these sorts of resources and get freelancers. So yeah, it's interesting you say that you're as an agency you're competing with that market because there's a lot of them. They're very good. They're highly skilled. They're maybe cheaper a lot of the times because it's an individual versus an agency. So maintaining that competitive advantage against competitors must be super interesting in a place like India. Do you service local businesses or are you servicing global businesses?
We serve across the globe. We have clients from Middle East. We have clients coming from US, UK, and domestic.
Yeah.
So the competition that I was talking about with the freelancers is not a competition. It's more like a remark that comes from the client that the freelancers are able to or come up with better ideas. So it's more because there's no specific, there's no direct competition between agencies and freelancers, because what happens with freelancers is that they're able to deliver that strategy, they're able to hack the growth. However, they're not able to do it professionally. And any established venture, any established company who is looking for month-on-month growth, who's looking for professional work, wouldn't go to a freelancer to execute their strategies and give their accounts to them, because the professionalism is the most important part of the whole assignment that we do. So that's where agencies have better protocols, better way of processing the things, streamlined process, and so on. The competition that comes with the freelancers is more of a healthy competition, because what they do is they come up with really good hacks, and you as an agency have to drive such hacks for your clients to delight them with the kind of digital strategies that can happen over the digital media, and that's where I brought the point of freelancers come in the picture. Yes, India, Philippines are definitely a huge hub for freelancing. People from the West do a lot of freelancing with freelancers from India, countries like us. And definitely it's all about the cost. India was known to execute things which are more into performance marketing, not into the creative work. But this notion is also getting changed now. The notion is changing in such a way that people are also relying on Indian-based agencies for their creative works as well. So, and we feel that our transparent process and the way that we have executed over the last years, and companies like us have contributed to that in the notion as well.
Yeah, very really interesting to get that on the ground perspective. But I like what you're saying, that the competitive advantages that agency has is professionalism and capacity and strategy and everything all under one, where you might get some good growth hacking or some like a fast tactic or a technique or something from a freelancer, but that sustainability over time and account service and that attention and that communication detail and relationship building is not the same as what you're going to get with an agency that's got account teams and different layers of service layers and that sort of thing in it. So I think that's a really interesting point that you bring up, that there is competitive advantage in having a bigger footprint, even in a super competitive market like India or Philippines, or even some countries in Africa now are sort of growing those sort of grassroots digital marketing skill sets. Very, very interesting. So you support sort of end-to-end digital. Was that also something that you, from that sort of that app, you've launched the app and now you've got a deploy and then market the app from launch all the way through. Was that something that you kind of, that full end-to-end capability, was that something that you always did, or is that something that you've sort of built over time? So I think, just thinking on it, that would make sense, that from, okay, we've created this app and now we've got to market it. You're sort of starting at day zero of, here's a thing with no marketing, and we've got to start, and then we've got to launch it, then we've got to maintain it, then we've got to update it, and keep going all the way through that cycle. Am I correct in thinking that's kind
Right.
of, that's how that came about?
Right. So it's not something that we started with all the end-to-end
Right.
points of digital marketing. We started during the process. So we started with building the solutions first, and then we started marketing them. And there was also a requirement of handling the sales for them. So, for example, let's say if I'm doing a digital marketing for a hospital, and they're expected to receive about close to about 4,000, 5,000 leads per month. They are also expecting us to do the sales for them as well.
Right.
So we started hiring people who can handle CRM, who can talk to the patients, convert them, and give. So when clients start coming, they were not just looking for digital marketing; they were looking for building their business. So for every stage, from website building to getting the traffic on the website, those visitors filling up the form to converting into appointments, all of it as a factor is end-to-end for us. So the late part that I spoke about, the sales part, we've recently started, and it's going pretty well. And that completes the end-to-end digital marketing for us. We can we just not handle this the marketing part, but also the sales part, because that is more important. Because in industry, what happens is we get them qualified leads, but the qualified leads are getting rejected by the end client, saying that they were not able to convert them. And the industry percentage of conversion here in India is about 15 to 18%. How can we increase that from 15 to 18% to 25 to 30%? Was something that we were doing a lot of research about, and we came across certain strategies which can help us converting these clients better, and maintain their database in such a way that over the months we can create such a kind of nurturing that the consumers from the previous months can also become customers in this particular month. So that helped us to increase that to 25 to 30%, and we have further progressed on that. Our goal is to at least go till 40-45%.
Yeah, that's, again, super interesting that you saw that opportunity where, so that can be where a lot of agencies finish, like, here's the lead or here's the booked appointment, job done, and then the client may or may not close the deal. So is that money well spent or not? That can be an interesting question. But seeing that opportunity, well, actually, we'll close them for you. We'll get the sales in, we'll nurture, and we'll follow up and make sure that we're actually closing the deals. And that is end-to-end business services, almost going beyond marketing. So is that into sales? So sort of closing that full acquisition loop, which is really interesting that there's that opportunity to. I guess from a client perspective, if you're doing everything up until literally closing the sales, and now all I've got to do is deliver the product or deliver the service, that's a pretty good win for me.
Exactly. And if you see, Chris, we are already doing this for an e-commerce company. If you see, for e-commerce companies, we do end-to-end anyway, right? We get to make the consumer purchase the product through an online portal, right? They end up paying on the portal, so that's a direct sale. So if we can achieve that for an e-commerce companies, it should be the same for companies who are looking for lead generation, companies who are working on a physical model of transferring their services and having a transaction over after the service. So it's quite doable in that industry as well, and that's what we are trying to prove here.
Yeah,
and that works. There's no blame game. There's no blame game, and we get to handle everything. So our performance is not just because for a good success for a client, it has to be an end-to-end integration, which starts from the spends and ends with the revenues or the profitability that they make. So unless and until as a partner we don't understand the whole cycle, I think we'll not be able to help them as much as we could with our potential.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, because it can. I like that e-commerce example, because as a marketing agency, when there's an online transaction, I can say, well, here's the ad they clicked and here's the purchase they made. There's a direct correlation. But with an offline sale like hospitality or a hospital, it's like, here's the ad they clicked, and over here somewhere they bought something, but it was physical. They checked out at an FPOS machine, or they bought somewhere else, or they paid cash. It's very hard to track that transaction. So as much as the more you can digitize that process or have input in that process, and you go, well, now we can attribute every sale to every action that we did in the marketing side. I think that becomes really, really interesting from an offer perspective, and from a client to say, well, we can literally attribute every click to every sale, whether that's e-commerce or commerce, just any type of commerce. Very, very interesting. So yeah, the fact that you're taking care of that sales piece, and now you've got that direct attribution. I think that's very, very clever. Cool stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's not the job done yet. There's a lot to do in that space. We are building some of the CRMs and lead management products which can help us in even capturing any call that happens over the process, because a lot of things happen, as you said, happens offline, and for us to connect that to digital media and attribute it to the campaigns that we have run for them, it's not very easy. So we are building some tools with the help of local telephony companies which can help us in attribute in everything that goes over the digital media. So
yeah, that becomes very, very powerful as an offer, and for me as a client, that to have that visibility, literally end-to-end visibility on, hey, I'm paying this much here and I'm making this much here, and every click and every dollar's attributed to a sale that's or to revenue. That's pretty powerful stuff. Very, very cool stuff, Rajat. I'm glad we got to chat and got to have you on the call. I know initially we'd booked and it was about 4:30 a.m. your time, so I'm glad we got to when you're awake and you got to have a good rest and come and share some of your knowledge in the space with us here today. It's been super interesting for me, and I'm sure there's a lot of interesting stuff here for the agency owners listening at home. If people want to find out more about you and get connected, have a chat, where are some of the best places that they can do that? There's a few places up on screen. We've got your shootorder.com. They can also check you out at Facebook or LinkedIn, which is better.
Right, LinkedIn is better. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn.
Okay, we'll send everyone to LinkedIn. I'll for those that aren't looking at the screen, that are listening to the podcast, I'll drop all those links in the show notes, so you can click on those and go get connected to Rajat and find out all your questions about end-to-end marketing and some of his sales secrets and how he's managed to grow a team to 55 people, which is no mean feat. That's a lot of people to manage, having run a 20-30 person agency at 55, and the amount of human resources and emotional energy required to run that many people. That's some very, very cool stuff. Rajat, glad we got to speak. Thank you so much for dropping by. I enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope everyone at home enjoyed it as much as I did.
Thank you, Chris, for having me on your show. And yes, definitely, it was a nice, powerful talk, early morning talk that I had today.
Awesome. Thank you, mate. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.